Welcome dear learners. Greetings for the day. I am Dr. Mrs. A.R. Chowdhury and today we'll be learning corrosion of metals part 1. As this is a part 1, we'll be learning the basics of corrosion in this lecture. Now corrosion is defined as the deterioration of a material, usually a metal, because of a reaction with its environment. So whenever metal gets exposed to different environmental conditions, it tends to undergo corrosion. Now these are few pictures of corrosion. You can see that there is a rusting of iron and the metal is lost because of corrosion. Then the metal has become brittle and weaker. Now corrosion is defined as the destruction of metal due to surrounding medium. The examples what we see in day-to-day life is rusting of iron. You can see that iron is converted into its oxides. The oxides may be of different types and the rust deposit is also of different types. It may be yellow rust, brown rust, and sometimes even a black color oxide is also formed. But there is a loss of iron in this case. Iron gets converted into its oxide. Then another example is formation of a green film of basic carbonate on the surface of copper. That you must be using copper utensils at our home, and you must have observed that after cleaning the copper utensils, if you keep it moist for some time, then a layer of basic copper carbonate deposits on its surface. Now, what is the basic cause of corrosion? Corrosion is the reverse of extraction of metals, or it is also called as corrosion is the reverse of metallurgy. Now what is metallurgy? In metallurgy, we extract metal from the ores. So generally, metal occurs in nature in combined state, that is in the form of ores. Now extraction of metals from ores is energetically expensive. It consumes large amount of heat or electrical energy. Now, when we extract metal from the ores, lot of energy is spent. So the metals are always at a higher energy level as compared to the ores. They are thermodynamically unstable. So metals undergo corrosion to achieve a thermodynamically stable state. This gets clear from this picture. You can see this is an ore which exists in nature. When we extract metal from the ore, there is a lot of energy input. Now this metal which is extracted from ore, it is at a higher energy level and it is thermodynamically unstable as compared to the ore. So whenever metal gets a chance, it tends to go back into its original state by undergoing corrosion, and it forms some corrosion product which is a combined form. Now during this case, there is a loss of energy. When the metal is extracted from the ore, this process is a reduction, and when metal gets converted into corrosion product by undergoing corrosion, this process is an oxidation. Now losses due to corrosion. Whenever we talk about losses due to corrosion, it is said that total 1/4 of world production of iron is lost due to corrosion. And when you calculate the losses, what points you need to remember? The first very important thing is energy spent for extraction. Just now we have discussed that when we extract metal from the ores, lot of energy is spent. So this energy loss will be there if there is a loss due to corrosion. Then fabrication cost. Different materials, different machineries, different equipments are fabricated. So if the loss of corrosion we are calculating, then we need to calculate the fabrication cost also. Then casualties and injuries to the workers. In the industries, various workers, they work on a regular basis, and the equipments, the machineries, the sheds where they work, the structure where they work is for a longer time. Now it may happen that sometimes the metal becomes brittle, the structure becomes weaker. Sometimes there is a shutdown in the industry, lockdown in the industry. So during this period, there is more chances of metal undergoing corrosion. And after a time when it again reopens, when the workers starts working, there are chances of casualties and injuries to the workers. So this we must remember. Then food poisoning also is one of the very important point when we consider losses due to corrosion. Now we'll see the types of corrosion. Basically, corrosion are of two types, dry corrosion and wet corrosion. Dry corrosion is also called as a chemical corrosion or atmospheric corrosion, and wet corrosion is also called as electrochemical and immersed corrosion. Now, dry corrosion means a corrosion which takes place in absence of moisture, and wet corrosion which takes place in presence of moisture. Now, this is caused by the chemical action of atmospheric gases such as oxygen, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, sulfur dioxide, halogens, etc. And wet corrosion is caused when the conducting liquid is in contact with the metal, or when two dissimilar metals or alloys are either immersed or dipped partially in aqueous solution. So how this, when the metals are dipped partially, how it causes corrosion, that we'll see in detail in later part. Now let us see dry corrosion. In dry corrosion, we'll consider corrosion due to oxygen. When metal reacts with oxygen, it forms a metal oxide. Alkali and alkaline earth metal react with oxygen even at room temperature, and other metal reacts at elevated temperature. Consider this as a metal surface, and it reacts with oxygen and it forms a metal oxide. Now the layer of metal oxide which is formed on the surface of the metal plays a very important role, because it will decide whether the corrosion will further continue or not. And the protective and non-protective nature of this oxide layer is governed by Peeling Bedworth rule. Now let us see what is Peeling Bedworth rule. Now Peeling Bedworth rule says that metals can be classed into two categories, those that form protective oxide and those that cannot. So we need to calculate the Peeling Bedworth ratio, which is calculated as volume of the metal oxide upon volume of the metal. So we'll just see. Suppose this is a volume of the metal oxide and this is a volume of the metal. So if the volume of the metal oxide formed is more than the volume of the metal from which it is formed, then it will become a protective layer, because it will act as a barrier between the environment and the metal. But if the volume of the metal oxide formed is less than the volume of the metal from which it is formed, then it will be non-protective in nature, because it will have some cracks, some pores, some fissures. So protective and non-porous oxide layer is the metals with the ratio higher, that is this ratio, Peeling Bedworth ratio higher than 1, tend to be protective because they form an effective barrier that prevents the gas from further oxidizing the metal. The examples are chromium, nickel, platinum, lead, aluminium, titanium, etc. Now, non-protective and porous oxide layer is the oxide layer would be unprotective if the ratio, this ratio is less than unity, because the film that forms on the metal surface is porous or it is cracked. And the examples are almost all alkali and alkaline earth metals form non-protective layer. It is sodium, potassium, lithium, calcium, beryllium and magnesium. Now we'll discuss about the electrochemical corrosion. The essential conditions for electrochemical corrosion to take place are the formation of anodic and cathodic areas, the electrical contact between anode and cathode, presence of electrolyte. Now, what reactions takes place at anode? The metal which acts as an anode gets converted into Mn plus Ne minus, that is the electrons are lost, that is anodic oxidation takes place. Now the metal ions which are formed, it forms the combined compounds, majorly oxide. Now what reaction takes place at anode? At anode, the electrons are gained by the metal ions, or the dissolved constituent accept the electrons to form the ions like OH minus and O minus minus. Now, to understand the concept of electrochemical corrosion, we need to understand what is standard electrode potential. Now, the standard electrode potential of every metal ion can be calculated by connecting it with a standard hydrogen cell. Now, here we are taken an example that the half cell used to measure the electrode potential of a copper under standard condition. So, this is a copper half cell, this is a hydrogen half cell. Both are connected, and you can see here that the potential difference between these two, that is E0, is 0.34. So the electrode potential of copper is the potential difference between it and the standard hydrogen electrode in an open circuit. Since E0 is greater than 0, copper is cathodic compared with the hydrogen electrode. So it becomes clear in the next slide. When the electrode potential of all the metal ions are calculated and they are arranged in order of their electrode potential, we get a series called as electrochemical series. You can just see that copper has a plus 0.34 electrode potential. So you can see here that this electrochemical series has two ends. One end is an anodic end and another end is a cathodic end. So the metal ions which lie towards anodic end, they are more anodic and they are more prone to corrosion. And the metal ions which lie towards cathodic end, they are noble metals. So whenever you select two metal ions, whenever you want to fabricate something, so you should select metals close to each other in the series so that the voltage will be less. So you can see one example we can consider here. You can see that the greater the difference between the two, the greater the voltage of the cell. If you select copper and zinc, you can just see copper lies here, it has 0.34 and zinc is here minus 0.76. If you select these two metal ions and if you connect these two metal ions, then the voltage of the cell will be plus 1.10. So greater the difference between the two metal ions, greater will be the voltage. Now there are some limitations of the electrochemical series. That in electrochemical series, the electrode potential is calculated under standard conditions. But when the corrosion takes place, the conditions are not standard. The conditions, therefore, the galvanic series is prepared in which the electrode potential of all the metal ions is calculated in a single environment, and the environment selected is the most corrosive environment, that is seawater. And one more advantage of galvanic series is that along with metal, it also includes alloys. So you can see that this galvanic series also has two ends, anodic end and cathodic end. Towards anodic end, there are metals which are more prone to corrosion, and towards cathodic end, there are nobler metals. We can see one example here. That here you can see there is one anode and one cathode. An anode undergoes anodic oxidation and the electron is transported towards the cathode. So here we can see one example. There is a steel pipe. This is a steel pipe and it is connected with a copper fitting. So now if you look at the galvanic series, you can see steel lies towards the anodic end and copper towards the cathodic. So steel will act as an anode and copper will act as a cathode. And in this case, steel will undergo corrosion. Now, we'll discuss about the electrochemical cell. We'll discuss about galvanic cell. For electrochemical cell, there is an anode, there is a cathode. So, at anode, oxidation takes place. At cathode, reduction takes place. Electrons flow from anode to cathode and current I flows in opposite direction. There is a salt bridge also. Now, you can see this is a common example of Daniell cell. There is a zinc half cell and copper half cell. You know that zinc is anodic, so zinc will act as an anode. Copper will act as a cathode, and zinc and the electrons will flow from anode to cathode. In the next picture, it becomes more clear. Now here you can see that this is a zinc half cell and copper half cell. Zinc acts as an anode because it has a more negative electrode potential. So it has a more tendency to go into the solution. So zinc will go into the solution and the electrons will travel towards the cathode. Now cathode is a copper. Now in this solution, that copper rod is dipped in a solution of a copper. So the electrons, they are travel on the surface of a copper, and the Cu2 plus ions which are present here in the solution, they accept the electrons and deposit on the surface of a copper. So you can see the reaction. Zinc undergoes oxidation, liberate electrons. Copper accept these electrons and deposit it as copper, and the overall reaction is Zn, and Cu2 plus gives you Zn2 plus Cu. So here you can see that as zinc is acting as an anode, zinc will undergo corrosion. What is corrosion? Loss of metal. So you can see the loss of metal in case of zinc, and on copper, the copper, it is deposited, so it is protected. So from this picture, it becomes clear that the copper is protected and zinc undergoes corrosion. We can see here one more example, that is a result of galvanic corrosion. You can see this is a new zinc for 1 diameter shaft, and this zinc, after it's undergone corrosion, when it comes in contact with the other metal ions, it may be iron or it may be copper. So this is how the corrosion takes place. Now in my next lecture, we'll be learning about the various factors which affects the corrosion, what are the mechanism of electrochemical corrosion, then we'll see how we can prevent the corrosion. So thank you students for attending this video lecture. Thank you.